Assalamu alaikum, it's Sista Samilah. Tonight we're going all the way in because sometimes the most dangerous betrayal is the one wrapped in the language of justice and faith. There's a generation that grew up watching Reverend Al Sharpton take the mic, march in the streets, and claim to speak for the voiceless. His voice echoed through church halls, community centers, and courtrooms. He spoke in the name of God, of justice, of our people. But family, somewhere along the line, that righteous fire cooled, and the brother who once walked beside the people started walking the red carpet straight into the arms of the very system he used to rail against. Let's not rewrite history. Al Sharpton wasn't always a network darling or a Democrat Party mascot. There was a time when he stood in the trenches getting tear gassed and handcuffed, calling out police brutality, economic injustice, and the disrespect Black folks faced from Harlem to Houston. Back then, his voice was feared by the establishment and loved by the grassroots. He had a power that didn't come from a TV contract. It came from the conviction in his voice and the prayers of grandmothers who saw their sons in his struggle. But as the years rolled on, a new Al Sharpton emerged. One less concerned with the altar and more interested in the anchor desk. The same system that tried to silence him started paying attention, then paying him. The invitations came, dinners at the White House, honorary awards, guest spots on prime time. And with each invitation, a little more of the revolutionary edge faded, replaced by rehearsed talking points, DC respectability, and a carefully curated image. Now, I know some folks will say, but Sista Samilah, didn't he do a lot for the community? Didn't he bring attention to injustice? I'm not here to deny the early work or question the sincerity of every march. But we've got to keep it real about what happens when a man trades the pulpit for the pundit's chair, especially on a network like MSNBC, whose agenda is set by corporate interests and Democrat Party strategists, not by the Most High or the people on the ground. The truth is, Al Sharpton's greatest asset was never his network ties or his celebrity contacts. It was his spiritual authority. But when you betray the source of that authority for the sake of access, the whole foundation crumbles. The Quran warns us, and do not sell my covenant for a small price. Quran 1695. That's a reminder to every so-called leader. If your voice is for sale, your soul is too. You could see the shift. As Sharpton's profile rose in the media, his message softened. The sermons got replaced by sound bites. The protests became press conferences. Instead of holding both parties accountable, he became the go-to guy for Democrat talking points, no matter how little they offered to our people in return. The community watched as he turned from a truth teller to a gatekeeper, from an agitator to an apologist. And the more comfortable he got in those studio lights, the further he drifted from the grassroots and the God he once claimed to serve. Let's pause here, because this is not just a story about Al Sharpton, it's a warning. Anytime a leader chooses comfort over calling, celebrity over community, and party over principle, the betrayal doesn't just impact their own legacy, it costs the people. The real grassroots won't get a network job because they're too dangerous to the status quo. MSNBC and the Democrat Party don't want profits, they want puppets. And as soon as you accept their deal, your prophetic voice is gone. Now let's walk through the crossroads, family. There was a moment in Al Sharpton's journey when the stakes got higher than marches and sound bites. The system started to realize that an outspoken, media-savvy Black preacher could either be a thorn in their side or a tool in their hand. It's always at that fork in the road where you see what a person really serves, their calling from Allah or the comfort of the world. When you look at the pattern, it's all there. The more Sharpton's name grew, the more the Democrat Party began to court him. Not just as a voice, but as a gatekeeper. Invitations came for backroom meetings, for prayer breakfasts with presidents, for photo ops meant to signal that Black America was in the room. But family being in the room isn't the same as having real power or serving Allah. The Quran says, "Those who purchase disbelief at the price of faith, they harm not Allah at all, but they shall have a painful punishment." Quran 3:177. Trading your soul for access always costs more than you realize. Let's talk specifics. Sharpton used to preach hard against both Republicans and Democrats, exposing the hypocrisy on all sides. But as he got closer to the Democratic establishment, his message began to change. Criticism of the Democrat Party faded. You started hearing more about coalitions and progress, less about accountability and reparations. Instead of challenging the powerful, he started comforting them, always making sure the Democratic Party looked like the lesser evil, even as they failed to deliver. That's when the cracks began to show. The community watched Sharpton go from leading street protests for real justice to taking paid gigs as a TV anchor on MSNBC, a network that is deeply invested in protecting the Democratic agenda. Let's keep it all the way real. You don't get a primetime anchor seat unless you agree to play by their rules. That means soft-pedaling the issues that matter most to foundational Black Americans, like reparations, land, and true autonomy. It means never biting the hand that writes your checks, even when that hand is slow to feed the people. But the bigger betrayal is spiritual. Sharpton was once known for invoking Allah's name, for calling out injustice from the pulpit, for praying with the people in their darkest hours. As the Democrat Party offered him more influence and media platforms, that prophetic edge dulled. Public prayers were replaced by political catchphrases. His loyalty to Allah's truth was replaced by loyalty to party power. The Quran warns, "O you who have believed, do not betray Allah and the Messenger or betray your trusts while you know the consequence." Quran 8:27. Every time a leader chooses the world's approval over Allah's, the whole community pays the price. The signs became impossible to ignore. When was the last time Sharpton truly called out Democrat policies failing FBAs or challenged the administration on real solutions for the community? When was the last time he risked his position for the sake of the truth or stood alone on principle like the grassroots still do every day? Instead, he started showing up on MSNBC more than in the streets, echoing Democrat talking points, selling hope but never demanding what's truly owed. And family, here's the thing. The real grassroots leaders, the ones with the pulse of the people and the call from Allah, never get offered a mainstream network job. You don't see the Brothaphils, the Vicky Dillards, or anyone challenging the power structure getting an anchor's seat. That privilege is reserved for those willing to water down the message, to sell Allah's truth for airtime, and to act as a buffer between the powerful and the people. The world will always tempt you with a platform, with money, with the illusion of influence. But at what cost? The Quran says, "And of mankind is he who sells himself, seeking the pleasure of Allah, and Allah is full of kindness to his servants." Quran 2:207. Our greatest leaders were those who never forgot their trust was with Allah, not with any party or platform. The day Sharpton traded the prophetic for the political and Allah's truth for Democrat talking points is the day he stopped leading the people and started leading them astray. And for that, the grassroots will never forget. Let's shine the spotlight on those MSNBC years because that's when the mask really came off. Family, when Al Sharpton accepted that anchor job, it was the clearest sign he had chosen the world's applause over Allah's approval and the people's trust. For decades, our community watched him transform from a street soldier answering to the grassroots and Allah to a polished TV personality who answers to ratings and the Democratic Party's talking points. Turn on MSNBC any night Sharpton hosts and you'll hear it plain. No more righteous fire, no more uncompromising demands for justice, just soft criticism of Democrats, empty praise for the system, and a steady drip of vote blue no matter who politics. The truth is, you don't get to anchor on a major network by telling uncomfortable truths or holding everyone accountable in front of millions. You get there by keeping the people sedated, pacified, and loyal to the very party that's been slow walking every major promise for generations. The betrayal isn't just political, it's spiritual. Remember, Sharpton once called on Allah for strength and justice, reminding us that our liberation would come from faith and perseverance, not just from politicians. But with every year at MSNBC, Allah's name faded from his lips, replaced by the language of the party line. How many times did he pass up a real opportunity to push for reparations or to call out the Democrats for their broken promises to foundational Black Americans? Each time, the community felt that silence as a wound. A leader who once invoked Allah's justice, now echoing the same establishment that never wanted to see us truly free. And ask yourself, what happens when you trade the mosque for the makeup chair, the congregation for the teleprompter? You lose not just your prophetic voice, but your spiritual grounding. The Quran warns, and among mankind is he whose speech pleases you in worldly life, and he calls Allah to witness as to what is in his heart, yet he is the fiercest of opponents. Quran 2:204. Sharpton became the face of democratic respectability, the one they send out when they need to quiet the grassroots and calm the righteous anger of a community tired of excuses. Meanwhile, the real grassroots, those who refuse to bend to parties, who keep Allah first, who speak uncomfortable truths, are locked out of those platforms. You won't see a true FBA grassroots leader hosting a cable news show or being celebrated at a White House dinner. Why? Because the system only rewards those willing to trade in their integrity for a seat at the table and to serve as a buffer between Allah's justice and the people's real needs. Look at the receipts. Sharpton's MSNBC tenure has been full of panel discussions where tough questions are smoothed over, where the blame for injustice is always softened if it threatens the party line, where the energy for real change is redirected into endless conversations and empty gestures. How many times has he used his platform to challenge the Democrats on their refusal to deliver reparations, land, or real economic power to FBAs? How often has he risked his job or his reputation to speak what Allah commands, not what his contract requires? Family, this isn't just about one man's choices. It's a warning to all of us. The world will always try to tempt our best and brightest to serve the powerful rather than Allah. They'll offer platforms, contracts, speaking gigs, and the illusion of influence. But at the end of the day, none of that is worth your soul, your calling, or your people's trust. The grassroots know this. That's why, despite all the airtime, despite all the celebrity, Sharpton has lost the credibility he once held in the streets, because you can't serve two masters. The Quran says, Allah has not made for a man two hearts in his interior. Quran 33:4. Either you serve Allah and speak the truth, or you serve the world and sell it out. There's no middle ground. Let's close with the lesson Al Sharpton's journey offers, not just for him, but for every leader and every FBA looking to walk in purpose. The real tragedy isn't just one man's fall from grace. It's what happens to a whole community when we put our trust in someone who's already sold their voice to the highest bidder. Because as soon as a leader chooses the world's approval over Allah's, the people start to pay the price in lost faith, lost direction, and lost opportunity. Family, Sharpton's story is a warning shot for the next generation. Don't ever let your desire for platform outweigh your duty to Allah and your people. It's easy to chase network jobs, White House invitations, and social media applause, but those things will never feed your soul or free your people. The real work, the work Allah honors, happens where the lights are dim, on the block, in the mosque, at the family table, at the protest that didn't get televised. It happens in the honesty of our prayers, the strength of our unity, the courage to say no when everyone else is saying yes to the wrong things. Sharpton chose MSNBC and the Democratic Party's approval, and for that he gained access but lost his prophetic authority. He became a symbol of what happens when you betray Allah's trust for the illusion of influence. But let's be real, no amount of airtime can buy back what you lose when you forget who sent you in the first place. That's why the grassroots are feared by the system. We're uncompromising. We don't take checks to keep quiet. We don't rewrite our message for a seat at the table. We don't answer to ratings, party bosses, or billionaire donors. We answer to Allah and to the truth that's been with us since before we ever landed on these shores. The Quran says, "But the bounty of Allah is better for those who believe, and it is better for those who are patient." Quran 62:11. True leaders wait on Allah's reward, not the world's. The grassroots don't get the network deals or the million-dollar platforms, but we get something better. Real credibility, real trust, real community. And when you have that, you can't be bought, bullied, or bribed. So for every FBA, every future leader, every soul looking for direction, let Al Sharpton's story remind you to stay grounded in Allah, to keep your hands clean, your message honest, and your loyalty to the people who need you most. Don't trade your faith for fame or your purpose for a paycheck. Don't let any party, network, or agenda distract you from what Allah has assigned you to do. Remember, the world will always reward those who sell out, but Allah rewards those who stand firm, who tell the truth, who refuse to let go of their principles, no matter how loud the applause or tempting the offer. Let this generation be the one that breaks the cycle. Choose Allah. Choose the grassroots. Choose the kind of leadership that can't be bought or sold, because that's the only kind that will ever set us free.